Professor Michael Clarke for more on this. Professor Clarke, great to have you with us. Look, the air war continues apace. It's getting worse in many parts of Ukraine, with one of the largest strikes from the air of the war so far.
Yes, I mean, the Russians have left Kiev alone in recent weeks, but last night there were 630 drones and missiles across the country, but they went back for Kiev and caused quite a lot of damage, which has upset the international community, who've been condemning it in general. Nothing yet from Washington, but we'll see what happens as the time difference works its way through. The Ukrainians, too, have been hitting back against the Russians with strikes on their refineries, but also they issued an interesting piece of film this morning of, they said, an attack in the Black Sea.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
An attack on the Black Sea fleet. And this is a drone attack on a Russian missile ship, which is what they say it is. And looking at it, this is in infrared, of course, so the definition is difficult because it's at night. But there are two sorts of missile launching ships the Russians use in the Black Sea Fleet, corvettes and frigates. I think that's a frigate. There's just the size of it makes it look like a frigate. If I had to guess, I guess it's a Grigovich frigate, though I stand to be corrected. But those are the ships that are launching missiles in these nightly attacks. They're launching these Caliber cruise missiles and others. And so the Ukrainians are claiming, I'm sure, to hit back against some of the weapon systems that are targeting their civilian areas on a fairly nightly basis. We can't confirm this is absolutely accurate yet. We're looking for more confirmation. We've only got this. We don't know when this attack took place, but we'll find out more, I think, in the next 24 hours. It's fairly convincing insofar as it shows what it shows.
Yeah, so it shows them striking back, patching it. It's a weapon system that was striking their cities. Now, huge strikes overnight. Where are we in terms of this peace process plan?
Well, lots of things are being talked about, partly because Steve Witkoff came back from Moscow recently with all sorts of ideas which President Trump latched onto, which the Russians have since said, well, that's not what we talked about. But what is being gossiped about across Europe is that maybe some transfers of territory in these sorts of places that are outlined on the map. And the Russians are sticking on some of them and maybe indicating flexibility on others. And the Ukrainians are saying, well, we're certainly not going to give the Donbass up. And then there's also some hint that maybe the Americans would provide some security guarantees for Ukraine if there were some transfers of territory. And the security guarantees that the Europeans are talking about now at a low level with the Pentagon is a three-level process whereby an international peacekeeping force would look after the frozen fighting lines. The Kiev forces, Ukraine's own forces, heavily armed and supported by the West, would be behind them. And then maybe a reassurance force of European countries somewhere back in safe Western Ukraine, but for which the Americans might provide air cover, ground-based air defence, intelligence and surveillance and reconnaissance facilities to allow them to operate as a sort of enforcer. Okay. If you say it quickly, it sounds all right, but there are any number of problems in all of this, not least finding international peacekeepers in the sufficient numbers to hold some monitoring of the front lines. But that's what's being discussed. There's a lot of shadow boxing in this because everyone wants to show Washington that they're keen on the idea of peace, even though they're very sceptical that it will work.
Well, a plan in place to then be, I guess, worked on and developed further, possibly. Let's move on to what's happening next week in China. There is a big meeting. It's a celebration for China at the end of the war. These three are going to be getting together. Yeah,
5th of September. 3rd of September, the Chinese are celebrating the end of the war in Asia, which was actually the 2nd of September when the Japanese signed the surrender terms in 1945. So it's 80 years since the signing of the surrender on the 2nd of September. So on the 3rd of September, China is having its big 80th anniversary celebrations. Putin is going to it. Kim Jong-un has said he's going to it. This is the most interesting element in a way. 26 others will be there. No Westerners except the Slovakian Prime Minister, Robert Fico.
Fico's going,
He's a Putin man in Europe. He said he's going. So far, nobody else certainly will, and he will, I think, harm himself by being there, but that's his decision. But Kim Jong-un is the big winner here because he hasn't been to China for 6 years. He never goes out of his own territory. No. This, for him, I mean, he's been in power since 2011. He's never been part of this sort of group of 26 international leaders before. So it's a big win for him. It's a pretty big win for Putin. And Xi Jinping is bringing all these people together to celebrate, something that's very important to China. But undoubtedly, I mean, here are the three leaders who are, in effect, making war on Ukraine. I mean, Putin directly, Kim Jong-un backing him up. Xi Jinping pretends he's neutral, but we all know he's not. And basically, this is what Ukraine is up against. And they're all meeting on Wednesday next week in a great celebratory bash.
And we will cover it, of course, in detail. We'll hear your thoughts on it as well, Professor Clarke. Thank you so much for that for now.